Good morning, Greg. Do you want to do a brief mic check? I can see you.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. I'm going to ask you to mute your camera. We are live to the public, and at the time your item is called, you can turn your camera back on and your mic can go live and put up your presentation for the subcommittee.
I'm putting my presentation up. There's not somebody running it on that end.
I'm happy to advance the slides for you. I have it prepared, but I had looked at previous meetings and it appeared that the presenters had their own slides up, but I'm happy to do it for you in this instance. I'm prepared to do so too.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I wasn't prepared for that.
No problem. I gotcha.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jennifer, do we have everyone?
Yes, Chair Galvin, we do. We're ready to go whenever you are.
All right, well, I think it's 10:30, so I'll go ahead and call the meeting of the Contract Review Subcommittee for the Board of Public Utilities to order and ask if we may have a roll call, please.
Thank you, Chair Galvin. Board Member Walsh,
Here.
Board Member Badenfort,
Here.
Chair Galvin,
Here.
Let the record show all board members of the Contract Review Subcommittee are present.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. Appreciate you making the time to deal with this subcommittee meeting. A reminder to mute your microphones when you're not speaking and to put away cell phones and personal computers. With that, we will move to item 2, which is public comments. So we'll now take public comments on item 2. If you wish to make a comment via Zoom, please raise your hand. If you're dialing in via telephone, please dial *9 to raise your hand. Secretary Manis?
Chair Galvin, there are no public comments.
Thank you. And we will move to item number 3, which is new business, item 3.1. Director Burke?
Thank you, Chair Galvin and members of the subcommittee. Item 3.1 is a proposed professional services agreement with Green Valley Consulting for construction management and inspection services for our backup generator project. And Greg Dwyer, Associate Civil Engineer with the Capital Projects team, will be making the presentation.
Good morning, Chair Galvin, members of the board. I'm Greg Dwyer with TPW. I'm an associate engineer and project manager for the backup generator project. Thank you for your time today. Next slide, please. So the purpose here is to present to the subcommittee our construction management and inspection consultant and talk about why we selected them and a little bit about the project. And as you may know, we are from prior presentations, there are 18 sites for this project, 10 water and 8 sewer. And here's the addresses of the different ones to give you an idea where they're at. The current ones are dual fuel for propane and natural gas. So we're going with diesel generators, which is more reliable, something that our crews can make sure that they're properly fueled. There were some issues during the Tubbs fire where we lost power due to the natural gas being cut off. So it's a more reliable fuel. They're also older generators. They need to be upgraded. In some cases, they're being upsized to increase fire flows and so forth. They also decrease greenhouse gas emissions, and we have a FEMA grant in place. Next slide, please. Here's the map, kind of where they're at. The green are the sewer, and the blue represent the water locations. They're all kind of they're throughout the city, but there's a cluster up there in the fire area. Next slide, please. We learned from the Tubbs fire that that the natural gas isn't necessarily the best way to go. Heaven forbid we have another fire in the future. We want to be able to have a reliable source of fueling. Some of the background here. There was a FEMA grant awarded in late 2019. BNR had a PSA approved for their design in June 2020. We recently awarded the purchase order to Peterson Power to purchase the generators in June 2022. And I'm happy to report that we already have 7 of those have been delivered. They're in our utility field office warehouse. So they're slightly ahead of schedule, which is good with all the supply chain issues that are going on that we're having with a lot of our projects. And the construction contract was just awarded to Terracon Constructors in August. Again, we went with purchasing the generators ahead of time due to the long lead times. Some of the generators take over a year from the time you order them to arrive, and that's independent of any supply chain issues or product shortages. That's just a typical lead time. So we're doing well on that. Next slide, please. We released the RFP in June, early June, for CM and inspection. And there's a list of criteria here that they're equally weighed. We put together a review panel, a diverse group of of folks that was approved by Assistant City Manager Jason Nutt. We scored and ranked them in order, and Green Valley came up on top, sort of like a job interview. You want to see how responsive, how much they understand what is needed for the project, as well as the qualities, their experience, and so forth. Next slide, please. So here's some more information about the review panel. So there was an associate engineer, which was me, 2 civil engineering technicians, and a quality control associate. We received 3 proposals. They went out to everybody out there on Planet Bids, and we received 3. And Green Valley had the highest ranking out of the 3 that we received. They were very qualified. They understood the project. They had realistic expectations. They detailed their strategies of how they were going to management. They had great cost breakdowns and so forth. So they were kind of the clear winner. And they have the not to exceed fee is $1.5 million, and that does include a 15% contingency. And it is consistent with the city staff estimate. If you look at the construction contract alone, it's 14.4%. Next slide, please. I kind of touched on this a little bit. You know, the generators were ordered and they're to be delivered on a staggered schedule. We didn't know exactly when they were coming in. We were anticipating delays. Knock on wood, they've been coming slightly ahead of schedule, some a little early, pretty early. So we've been storing them here in our UFO warehouse. So as they come in, they'll be, once we start construction, they'll be delivered to the project site and secured by the contractors. Again, the construction here, we're slated to start in October. Right now, it's October 10th. We're going into May 2024. So it is a 370 working day project. So it's a long project. Next slide, please. It's a recommendation. It is recommended by the Transportation and Public Works and Water Departments that the Contract Review Subcommittee recommend approval of a professional services agreement with Green Valley Consulting Engineers for construction management and inspection services for construction contract C02256 backup generators, water and wastewater facilities in an amount not to exceed $1,531,328.50. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Dwyer. I'll open it up now for members of the subcommittee for any questions or comments. Seems like it's a pretty straightforward one, Mr. Dwyer, and we know we need the construction management services in order to get this project completed. Looks like the amount that was proposed is within our budget, and so I'm fully supportive of it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Board Member Walsh.
I'd like to make a motion.
Great.
I move that the contract review subcommittee of the Board of Public Utilities recommend to the full Board of Public Utilities approval of a professional services agreement with Green Valley Consulting Engineers for construction management and inspection services for construction contract number C02256 backup generators, water and wastewater facilities in an amount not to exceed $1,531,328.50.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. At this time, I'll open it up for public comments on item 3.1. If you wish to make a comment via Zoom, please raise your hand. If you wish to dial in via telephone, please dial *9 to raise your hand. Secretary Manis?
There are no public comments.
Okay, and I don't believe we have any more questions or comments from the committee, so we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Board Member Walsh,
Aye.
Board Member Benford,
Aye.
Chair Galvin.
Aye.
Let the record show that this recommendation passed unanimously.
Thank you. That'll conclude item 3.1. We'll move to item 3.2. Director Burke.
Thank you, Chair Galvin and members of the subcommittee. Item 3.2 is a proposed third amendment to a professional services agreement for engineering services for our backup generator project. And Greg Dwyer will be making this presentation as well.
Thank you, Director Burke. Okay, so my second item here, I'm Greg Dwyer, Transportation Public Works Project Manager for the backup generator project. This is regarding Amendment 3 to the Professional Services Agreement for engineering services during construction. Next slide, please. Kind of a repeat of the last one, sorry. But again, here are the locations for the sewer and the water. We are doing these to provide more reliable sources of fueling for generators for the future, and also to replace our aging equipment and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Next slide, please. Again, the map of our layout here for the project. The green is sewer, and the blue are water locations where the generators are going to be installed or replaced. Next slide, please. We learned from the Tubbs fire that we needed more reliable sources of fuel. The Brelgian race was awarded the Design Professional Services Agreement in June 2020. There was an amendment in March of 2021. And there was also an amendment in December of 2021. This was, I've been the project manager for 5 months. This was under a previous engineer. But based on this, it looked like there was some increased fire flows being proposed and some structural components that needed to be addressed as well, which is why the second amendment was there. We did a purchase order with Peterson Power in June 2022, and as mentioned, we have 7 of those already here at the city. The construction contract was awarded to Terracon in August 2022, and the generators were purchased separately ahead of the contract because of the long product delivery lead times. Next slide, please. The original PSA with B&R was awarded on June 18th, 2020 for $485,500. Here's the amount, Amendment 2 on December 16th of 2021 in the amount of $261,300. And as mentioned before, it included the new generator buildings that were needed to hold the larger generators that were decided that the decision was to use those to increase the fire flow. So they needed larger structures to hold those. And also the accompanying upsizing of the electrical equipment and so forth. The federal purchase order with Peterson Power was approved June 16th, 2022 for $1,575,000. And the construction contract with Terracon Constructors was awarded on August 18th, 2022 for $10,568,000. Next slide, please. So just so you know what's kind of covered in what do we mean by engineering services during construction? There's a lot that goes on during construction. There's submittal reviews, RFIs that come in, weekly construction meetings. It's really good to have your engineering staff at those meetings so they can promptly respond to issues as they come up, or kind of, stay ahead of things, answer questions. It's also coming out to the site to look at specific instances as needed. With construction happening in October 2022 and completion in 2024, we're looking at, a pretty long project, and having the engineer on board is key to making sure this project is delivered on time, on budget, and goes well. And it is in place, especially with the potential for a fire. You know, the sooner we can get these improvements in, the better it will be for our whole community. Next slide, please. The schedule is, you know, the generators were ordered. They're delivered on a staggered schedule. We have 7. The other 11 will be arriving as they are made. We do have some of the larger ones delivered. Those are the ones with the longer lead times. And again, they'll be continually to be delivered from October 22 to May 2024. Typically, we on my projects, when I hire a design consultant, I include the services during construction. For some reason or another, I'm not sure, it wasn't included, and that's why I'm here today, to get that component in there, so we can make sure that we have a great project. Next slide, please. It is recommended by the Transportation and Public Works Department and the Water Department that the Contract Review Subcommittee recommend the Board of Public Utilities approve Amendment Number 3 to Professional Services Agreement with Brelgy and Race Consulting Engineers to provide engineering services during construction for Contract C-02256, backup generators, water and wastewater facilities, increasing the contract amount by $473,200 for a total authorized amount of $1,100,400. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Dwyer. Again, I think this is something that's definitely needed and will make this project go nice and smoothly. So are there any questions or comments from any of the subcommittee members? Board Member Walsh.
Thank you. Just a comment, Mr. Chairman. To Civil Engineer Dwyer, I want to thank you for the presentation. And some projects are very high priority. Of course, all the ones that you get are going to be the highest priority. This backup power is a big deal, and we appreciate you looking at it, and also appreciate you taking the steps to add services that'll be necessary to ensure the safe operation of all our generators. So thank you very much for the presentation and for adding additional step to ensure we have engineering services during construction.
Thank you.
Agreed. Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I move that the Board of Public Utilities Contract Review Subcommittee bring to the full Board of Public Utilities a motion to approve Amendment Number 3 to Professional Services Agreement with Brelgy and Race Consulting Engineers to provide engineering services during construction for contract number C-02256, backup generators, water and wastewater facilities, increasing the contract amount by $473,200 for a total authorized amount of $1,100,400.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. I'll now open it up for public comment on item 3.2. If you wish to make a comment via Zoom, please raise your hand. If you're dialing in via telephone, please dial *9 to raise your hand. Secretary Manis?
There are no public comments.
Very good. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Thank you. Board Member Walsh,
Aye.
Board Member Badenfort,
Aye.
Chair Galvin.
Aye.
We'll let the record show this recommendation passed unanimously.
Great. I believe that concludes our agenda for today's subcommittee meeting. Again, thank you all for being available, and enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you in a couple of weeks at our regular board meeting. So we are adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.